When it comes to horse racing, you can never have too much information. With TwinSpires, you can place your bets with confidence. Whether you use handicapping insights, like our Brisnet speed ratings, prime power and past performances, the guidance of our experts' top picks, or just choose a name that catches your eye. Yes! No matter how you pick your horse, bet with TwinSpires. And now you can race to victory with TwinSpires tournaments.
Welcome back to the TwinSpires jury. I'm Ashley Anderson here with James Scully and Darin Zoccali. We're going to talk our best bets and fades of the week at Oaklawn Park and Turfway, where TwinSpires will be on site at Turfway this weekend on Friday and Saturday. Kevin Kirstein will join us as well, and we'll cover the Cincinnati Trophy Stakes on Friday and Oaks Prep, plus the John Battaglia on Saturday, which we'll give our picks for, along with the Rebel in a little bit. And I wanted to mention real quickly, too, we have Derby tickets available all week long for the Derby at KentuckyDerby.com. So definitely jump in on those as soon as possible. All right, and let's start with our best bet of the week. Darin, since you held down the fort last week while James and I were in New Orleans, I'll let you start things off. What is your best bet of the week?
Yeah, so we're talking about two cards, fades, and best bets between Oaklawn and Turfway. My best bet is going to come at Oaklawn. It is in the 8th race, which is the Tri-Vista Overnight. It's a stake event for fillies, a mile and a 16th. I like quite a bit in here, number 8, Indy Label, for trainer Matt Scherer, who this filly has gotten very good over the last 3 or 4 starts, and I think it lines up with the claim. This horse was claimed back on September the 13th, came back just 16 days later and ran okay, stepping up from maiden 30 all the way up to the maiden special weight ranks. And now you're getting a look at her here last time out, where she's going to run second at Oaklawn Park in a stake event in preparation for this. But she has moved up from maiden 30,000 up to maiden 50, allowance winner, and then second in the Pippin Stakes last time out, where she actually was not able to race on Lasix, but was a fast closing second, as you saw them coming to the wire there with Francisco Arrieta aboard. It was kind of a weird race. She got kind of stymied up top and ran out of momentum, and then had to regather herself and finished up like you saw there coming down to the wire. I think in this particular race, the way that the pace scenario shapes up, there's not a ton of early speed. There's some horses that want to be forward, but I think she's going to be in that first flight of stalkers, get a really good trip here. And just a filly that's been sharpening up and getting better and better with each and every start. I love the price at 8-1. I think this is the time to strike. So Indy Label will be our best bet of the weekend.
A bit of a distance specialist, 2 wins, and then you got a second from 4 starts at today's distance. And again, that pace scenario, not a ton of, like a hot pace, I would say, but it does seem like she had a good late pace rating last out at a mile and a 16th, so certainly could close here as well.
Yeah, Matt Shire's done a heck of a job since haltering her, and she'll be easy to find closing with that white face. Reminded me of some other ones we've seen notable runners in the past. So
Talismanic comes to mind.
Yeah. I was almost thinking California Crow too. I don't know if he had that much, but there was a chestnut with that big plays. My best bet is going to come at Turfway Park. It's going to be number 3, Michaelicious, in Saturday's 6th race at Turfway. Now, this is a 4-year-old gelding for Mike Maker, who, Mike Maker tried him a few times on the turf last year, but when he got him to a longer distance on the main track last fall, Michaelicious recorded a really nice win, I thought, at Churchill Downs on December 1st at a mile and 3/16, winning a $50,000 starter allowance. He shipped him to Turfway, and he'd run once before on the synthetic track, but his first start there in late December, got off to a terrible start that day, bobbled that day, wound up getting beat a couple lengths at 4th. We'll see him here. I like the progression he's made in both starts for Maker, Michaelicious. He comes rallying up on the inside. You'll see here to get third, or I guess, behind the top 2 to get third. And one thing about Michaelicious, off of that 4th and 3rd, I've seen this horse build towards victories. Every previous win before followed an encouraging effort. I also like the fact that there's a pair of confirmed early types in this field that I think are going to set it up nicely for Michaelicious. So I like the distance. I like his third start of the meet at Turfway, showing improved form from the two back to the last one. And I just think he looks poised to break through with a victory at Michaelicious in race 6 at Turfway Saturday night.
Yeah, Juan Machado and Maker teaming up, big numbers the last 2 months, 34%. Nice positive ROI. I'll talk more about this race later because it includes my fade, which is not Michaelicious. So we are in pretty good agreement here, James.
Yeah, 10. They are 10 for the last 24 together. So, yeah, they've been on a tear, Machado and Maker.
You both like off the pace runners. I'm going a little bit different of an angle here in race 10 with the Razorback. It's a grade 3 at Oaklawn on Sunday, and I'm going with number 3 First Mission at 5-1. He likes to sit a little closer to the early speed. This is a Brad Cox trainee who is making his 5-year-old debut off a pretty long layoff, 6 months, but he's won off of lengthy rest before, and he's had several sharp workouts leading up to this start. First Mission has won 4 times from 4 starts at the distance of a mile and a 16th, and he's a son of street since he was last seen finishing a 10-length 7th in the Whitney over a sloppy Saratoga track, but he has won at Churchill before. He is cutting back in this distance that he really likes, and I think, at 5-1, I'll take that for this Godolphin homebred for Brad Cox. We'll see if we get that price, but he's coming off that layoff, so some people might shy away from him, but I think he'll have a big showing here at Oaklawn. And I'll even play an exacta with Alexander Helios at 10-1, Staffy Joseph runner, who's making his 3rd start since returning to Staffy Joseph's barn and should like that distance too of a mile and a 16th.
He's run well fresh. First Mission has. He's run well fresh in the past. He bounced back off of a really poor showing in the Pegasus World Cup last year to win the Essex off of a freshening by 5 lengths at Oaklawn. So he's shown an affinity for the track. Now, I will say that this Razorback handicap, I was really delighted to see this field. I thought it came up really strong this year. He's got some quality rivals in here, namely, in my mind, Skinner, who looks like he's poised to improve on a fast track Sunday. But I can definitely see why you like First Mission in here, Ashley.
Yeah, I think the pace of the race is going to be interesting. First Mission likes to be forward. Obviously, your other horse that you mentioned, Alexander Helios, probably wants to be on the lead. Bad as Good Boy, when stretched out last time, prompted the pace. Cook Creek, probably to do his best running. I think it's kind of apparent that he needs to be more forward than he's been the last couple. I know he had a bad start, 2 back in the Clark, but I think the pace here could be a bit contentious. And the horse James mentioned is the one that I'm most interested in is Skinner. I liked him last time. He had a good trip and just came up short behind Hit Show, who's in pretty good form right now. I think if Skinner is going to take a step forward in this division, he really needs a good showing here and has to kind of move forward off that race where he might have come up a little bit short and hung a little bit in the stretch. So I'm willing to give him another look at 6-1 because I do think the pace is going to set up nicely for him.
I almost thought you were going to give us Croupy again, but I was a little surprised to see Croupy cutting back in distance because it seems like that horse needs longer distance.
Yeah, it's hard. It's hard for me to land on Croupy here. I'm surprised he's actually only 6-1 in this field. I think he's going to drift up from there.
Yeah. Well, let's move on to our fades of the week. So, Darin, not you. It's James. It's James's turn.
My fade of the week is going to be number 3, Justique, in the Carousel Stakes. That's race 4 at Oaklawn on Sunday. Now, Justique, she's a filly that could start turning things around, obviously, now being in the care of Cherie DeVoe. Got some time off last summer. But the fact remains, this is a 5-year-old mare who won a stakes race late in her juvenile season in 2022, and she had lost 11 in a row before that last race. And one thing about Justique was she'd always been like her previous trainer, John Shareff's, after she didn't run well early in her 3-year-old season in 4 consecutive starts on dirt, or just wasn't a serious factor in any of them. He switched her to turf. Now, last time off of the layoff, Cherie DeVoe puts Justique in the 6 furlong non-winners at 2 other than allowance at Fairgrounds. And we saw last Saturday with Pretty Sassy beat a couple of fillies with stakes experience in the entry-level allowance at Fairgrounds. Sometimes those races can get good horses. This was a race for professional non-winners of 2 other than Justique. because that runner up and the third place finisher would be no fact, aren't stakes types per se. So what happened last time, Justique being a real off the pace confirmed closer type, was able to race close to that pace in a short field. She was always like within 2 lengths of the lead. She was in position to take advantage at the top of the stretch. She's going to have a different trip in the carousel. She's going to be farther back. I don't think 6 furlongs is her best distance. And I'm not going to bet her, at short odds off of that comeback race, stepping into a 6 furlong dirt stake where she didn't have any proven. I mean, her stakes form on dirt, her numbers are going to have to improve significantly to challenge, I believe. So I'm going to take a chance against Justique. Obviously, the Sandy Bottom is shipping in for McCarthy and merits respect, but I really like Lady Moscato in here for Lucas. I think she's really coming into her own now. So the 5-2 morning line favorite, Justique, is going to be a fade for me in the Carousel Stakes Sunday.
Yeah, I totally understand the points against. She is going to get a setup here though, because there is a ton of speed in here, and she's going to certainly drop much farther back off the pace, and I expect her to be in a position that's going to be more similar to the races that we saw earlier in her career. I guess the question is, and it's a wild question to ask given the pedigree being by Justify out of a Bernardini mare, but is sprinting on dirt what she actually wanted to do the whole time? I have a hard time believing that, but I guess we're going to find out pretty quickly, because if she's going to run well in a 6 furlong dirt sprint stake, it's going to be in a race with this type of early pace in it. So we'll see if she can rally. She might be coming from dead last in this field, which is totally why I understand you playing against her at 5-2. But she is more one of those horses that I'm really interested in seeing what she does here, because if she does run well, it's going to open up a lot of doors for her going forward.
And the fact that they don't have 7 furlong stakes at Oaklawn, that forces her hand to, coming back at Oaklawn Park. If she's going to run in a sprint, she's going to run 6 furlongs. I do think maybe 7 panels might be a better fit for her. I'm not going to take anything away from these horses that went off form. They can always, Nick's Go is a great example. I mean, I'm not saying that Cherie DeVoe can't get this Justique back in good form and a good stakes type, but in this spot, I'm going to try to beat her on Sunday.
No arguments there. Darin, what's your fade?
Yeah, back to Turfway Park on the Saturday night Battaglia card. It's race number 6 on the program. Swiss Slang, which is the morning line favorite in the race that James picked his best bet with Michael Licious. Kind of an in and out type runner. But really what it comes down to be honest with you guys, is that in this field, 5-1 when winning against similar competition 2 starts back, obviously found the move up in class last time to be a bit too tough. And I don't want to hold that against him completely. But, he didn't really do any running at all last time. He got beat 20 lengths. Obviously, it was a much tougher assignment. But 5-1, 2 back, in and out form. Horse is going to be probably rallying from pretty far back. And these 1.25 mile races have been somewhat puzzling at times throughout this meet at Turfway Park. And there's just a lot of other directions I think you can go with horses that are in more consistent form, horses that are stepping up off of sharp efforts, horses that have excuses. And Swiss Slang is a horse that's just kind of in and out, a bit unpredictable for Riley Mott. And at a 3-1 morning line against a field that I think has a lot of other potential options, including right to his outside, the 3-year-old Soleil Volant for Graham Motion, son of Caraconti, shipping up from Gulfstream Park off a series of tries in Allowance Company, where he could certainly be good. I definitely think James's horse could be good. Another horse in here like Walika was third last time out and improved at this effort. Alamon might have things his own way on the front end. I think you could just make an argument for somebody else at a better price. So because of those reasons, Swiss Slang and the 10 furlong allowance at Turfway is going to be my fade.
Yeah, I agree. Pretty streaky horse right now, and off that most recent effort certainly doesn't give you much confidence. And I will take it over to, let's see, it's the Friday Oaks Prep. It's the Cincinnati Trophy Stakes, and I'm going to fade number 8 Girl Math at 3-1. This is a 3-year-old by McKinsey who took 5 tries to break her maiden, and she did succeed when she made her first start at Turfway last out, but she got an 81 Bristnet speed figure. The fact that it took her 5 times to break her maiden, didn't think the Speed Figure came back the strongest. There's some other horses in this field that already have 2 career wins, have some better speed figures, better class ratings. I'm looking at number 6, Something About Her, 5-1 for Brendan Walsh, already has a graded stakes win. Also, the runner up in that stakes win, Boxtastic at 10-1, could benefit from cutting back in distance here at Turfway. I like those 2 better. You're getting way better prices there as well. So I'm going to take a stand against this 3-1 choice in the Cincinnati Trophy.
Yeah, I
Anyone
thought
else taking a stand, or y'all think
Oh,
she's
I,
going to
I
win?
like it.
I thought that her maiden win. I thought there was some filler in that race. I wasn't that impressed by the field. I thought she had a good trip despite the wide draw that day, and I thought this was a big step up in class for her. So, yeah, I mean, I'm not exactly sold on any of these fillies per se in terms of Oaks being Oaks competitors at this point, but for purposes of betting on this race, I think you could definitely do better than settling on the morning line choice here.
Yeah. Let's talk some promos, maybe some tournaments at TwinSpires before we move on to what else and our Rebel and John Battaglia picks. So, Darin, what
Yeah.
do you got?
A lot going on. So first things first, obviously the Rebel Stakes program was moved from Saturday to Sunday because they've shifted all of their racing cards back a day at Oaklawn Park. So the Rebel Day profit boost will now take place on Sunday. 15% offer on that program. Great card, covers the entire balance of the program, and now it's moved to Sunday, so it's kind of got its own place on the racing calendar as a Derby prep on a Sunday. We also have our Kentucky Derby Betting Challenge on that card qualifier for $500 as well, which is shifted to Sunday with the Rebel Stakes. So we have a lot going on for Rebel Day. I see that Blaze has queued up next up the money back offer at Turfway Park. That is Thursday and Friday. The Thursday card canceled, but we'll have this on Friday for tomorrow night as program as well. I think we've added a couple of extra races in there to offset the cancellation on Thursday. So definitely get your bankroll loaded up for a busy weekend with the Friday night money back at Turfway. And then we also have a profit boost right after that at Turfway Park on Saturday for the Battaglia Memorial Day. Same concept as Rebel Day. All of these prep cards, we have these profit boosts. Win exact the daily double trifecta up to a $25 cap, and it covers all of the races on the Derby prep card. So we've got you covered for all of the best racing action this weekend with some great offers, great tournaments. I'll mention that because of the moving of the qualifier to Sunday, we've added a second bonus feeder tournament. So what that means is normally we have the bonus feeder Friday, which means that once we get to 10 players, we get 1 seat for every 4. We're going to put that into effect on Saturday as well on the Oaklawn Park card. So we have 2 bonus feeders going into the Sunday contest, as some spam guy calls me on my office line.
That's never happened before.
Donate to Social Security or something like that. They've been coming in hot and heavy the last week. They're out there. So just mentioning that we have a lot of great tournaments this weekend and the KDBC qualifier on Sunday.
I thought we were about to get like another hot off the press promo or
Yeah,
tournament coming in.
Yeah.
This Japanese guy I was hoping was calling to give like a Japanese horse maybe too.
There you go.
Darin, I will stick with you on what else you're watching for this weekend. So what has your eye?
Yeah, I saw that Tistastic. Excuse me. That's the other race. I saw that Just Steel is back in action in Allowance Company. We talked about Justique being in a race at 6 furlongs last time out. Just Steel is coming back in a 6 furlong allowance. He has not been seen since he suffered an injury in the Preakness Stakes last year. Interesting race for him. I mean, going to be 5-2 here on the morning line. A bit of a fascinating, race to see him to come back in. You have to think that this horse is going to be stretching back out at some point moving forward. But he does catch Attaché in here, who's got more speed than he is and is more of a sprint specialist, whereas, Just Steel obviously has made the majority of his hay around 2 turns. He did win at 6.5 as a 2-year-old at Churchill Downs, so definitely don't want to sell him too short. But ever since then, he had been a pretty proven commodity around 2 turns on the Triple Crown Trail. Interested to see what he does coming back, how much money he takes. He would probably be a horse that would be a fade for me if he went off favorite in this particular spot in a field that is definitely stakes quality in the second level allowance, which is race 7 at Oaklawn on Saturday.
I think you're going to get him favored too. I didn't agree with that morning line. I mean, he he ran second in the Arkansas Derby and outfinished Mystic Dan. I think everybody's going to look at that last appearance there, and he's going to be shorter than Attaché. But you made some good points. That 6 furlong trip is going to be tricky for him. My what else is going to surround the return of Mahima, number 1 Mahima, in Saturday's Grade 3 Honeybee at Oaklawn Park. Now, there's some other speed in this field, but Mahima remains the one to beat for Brad Cox. You know, last year in our first 2 starts sprinting at Churchill Downs and in a maiden and entry-level allowance, she pushed just really hot fractions on the front end in both races and then just drew off. I mean, she's got a cruising speed to her. Anybody that saw her first 2 races knows that this filly's got some cruising speed and she's got some like quality speed. And then Mahima showed her affinity, I thought, for 2 turns when stretching out to 1 1/8 in the Grade 2 Demoiselle at Aqueduct in early December. Not only did she lead wire to wire, but I thought the runner-up made a really good run at her. She dug in and turned her back, and she ran about a half second faster than the winner of the Remsen 1 race earlier. So it was a fast race. Like I said, I mean, there's no doubt that with number 7, that's Gunite Magic, and number 9, Look Forward, who's shipping in from off of a win in the Santa Ynez for Michael McCarthy. Those fillies got some early speed, but I don't think that Mahima, if she breaks, is going to be like rallying from off the pace. I think she'll be up there on the front end, looking to get into good rhythm, and you know, I'm excited to see whether she can carry her form forward, because there was an argument to be made by some people that she was the best of the Brad Cox trained 2-year-old fillies last year. Now, Mercer is sidelined. Good Cheer came back with a 6.5 length win in the Grade 2 Rachel Alexandra, and we'll finally get to see what Mahima has to offer on Saturday in the Honeybee Stakes.
I'm excited to find out against 12 rivals. That'll say a lot if she comes out and has a big win. And obviously, James and I just saw Good Cheer in person. And you talked to Luis. He said he didn't even really ask that much of Good Cheer in that race. So
yeah, he said he goes wait until I really ask her, is what he said after it. So, you know, Mahima is a speeder, is a front runner, and Good Cheer is a closer. So it'd be really interesting if these fillies continue to be like such high quality top class performers, and they'll bring radically different run styles to the Kentucky Oaks this spring if they stay healthy.
And I will take it overseas. I might ask Darin to give me a little soundbite too in part of this, but I will start off mentioning the $20 million Saudi Cup is February 22nd at Riyadh, and it will feature a lone U.S. trained representative. It's Rattle and Roll, who's on a 2-win streak. He won the Grade 2 Clark at Churchill, which you're seeing right here, and then he just won at King Abdulaziz Racecourse in January in a Group 3, and he won by 4 3/4 lengths, rallying to win in that race. But he will be going up against Romantic Warrior, who is the world's richest racehorse, who has been racing on the turf, though, so that adds a little variable here in this particular start. And then we have Forever Young, who I know Darin is a huge fan of, and then Defunded, who used to be in Bob Bafford's barn, as well as Ushba Tesoro, who was beaten just ahead last year in this race by Senior Buscador. But Darin, I'm guessing you're probably very big on Forever Young in this race this weekend?
Yeah, I think he's certainly the horse to beat. I thought the draw for him was ideal, being out in post position number 14, because that's that 1 mile and 1/8. So it allows the rider about nearly 5 furlongs to that turn to kind of just put him wherever you want. He's shown more speed the last couple of starts, and we all know that it really doesn't matter how wide he goes, he doesn't stop really coming. So I think he's got a perfect draw, and I definitely think he's the best horse in the race on dirt. Now, Romantic Warrior is certainly the wild card. He's not bred to run on dirt. It's kind of a fascinating spot. I imagine he's going to be the second choice in the wagering, but he's by acclamation out of an Irish mare that was a turf mare. So, I would take a bit of a stand against him. I think that there's a legitimate chance that the Japanese runners go 1, 2, 3 in here. I think Forever Young, Ramjet, and Wilson Tesoro, because I do think Ushbu Tesoro is a bit over the top. I think those three have a legitimate chance to dominate here. I'm curious to see what Walk of Stars does, who's gotten in very good form the last couple in Dubai. Rattle and Roll's a nice horse, don't get me wrong. Grade 2 winner, but
Grade 1 winner. He was a grade 1 winner at
grade
2.
one. That's right, grade 1 winner at 2. That's right.
5 years ago or something.
I
Sorry.
forgot. Yeah, the Breeders' Futurity. I forgot. Rattle and Roll beat Way to Excel last time. Way to Excel, when you take a look at him in this field against the other runners in here, I mean, he would be like, an extended allowance horse running against grade 1 and grade 2 types. So it's hard to get a really good gauge on what Rattle and Roll beat that day. And I think that this is a much, much tougher assignment. So I really think Japan, if Romantic Warrior does not take to the dirt, I think Japan might run 1, 2, 3.
Thank you for taking the reins on my what else. I knew you would have a lot to say about it.
Japan has a filly in the Saudi Derby too, which is going to be interesting. So we'll see.
Yep.
Let's kind of do some rapid fire here with our Rebel picks and our John Battaglia, because I know we're running a little bit late today with our jury. But let's start with the Rebel. And James, give me your pick and maybe a sentence or two on why you're going with that pick in the Rebel.
I'm going with Madaket Road. Listen, I considered Sandman, they got a big chance. I even looked at Admiral Dennis. There's a lot of pace in there, but I think Madaket Road is going to improve upon that third in the Bob Lewis, which was his first 2-turn start. That race had little to no pace. And the mile and 16th distance, I think, hits him right between the eyes. He's out of a Smoke Glacken mare. I don't think he's the true Derby type for longer distances this spring. But Baffert's an 8-time winner of the Rebel, and I think this Madaket Road is going to be finishing fast at 8.5 furlongs on Sunday.
Darin?
I love Tistastic. Tistastic last year was second to Sovereignty, who I think is going to be a major player in the 3-row picture. I think he's running in the Fountain of Youth next. Was third behind First Resort and Jonathan's Way, who I both have a lot of respect for. Last time in the Southwest Stakes, had a tough trip, got himself in some trouble, and really got on track late and was rallying boldly through the stretch. Is now stretching out to the 1 1/8 is by Tis the Law out of a Tappet mare. So I think the longer the races go, the better. I think he's going to get a very good setup here. And Asmussen is notorious for these types getting better with more racing time. So I think Tistastic is sitting on a monster race in the Rebel.
And I'm going to take a little bit of a swing here with Hypnus at 10-1. This is a late closer, one on debut. An impressive fashion for Kenny McPeak. His final time was faster than what we got from Disco Time in the Lecomte later that day at Fairgrounds at the same distance of 1 mile and 16th. He has a 97 late pace rating in that start where he broke his maiden. So I'm looking for him to close late here and potentially pull off an upset at a good price at 10-1. All right, we've given you 3 different choices there, and none of us went with the morning line favorite or even the second choice.
I think Sandman is going to be the most overbet horse of the year in this race. I mean, he might win, but his odds are not going to reflect his true value, in my opinion.
And I think they want to get him peaking this spring. I mean, I don't think they're in Cassie's going to have him tied on so tight for this 1 16th prep. He might he could win it from off the pace, but yeah, I'm not playing Sandman at short odds either.
All right, and then we have the John Battaglia Memorial. This is on Saturday at Turfway Park. So, Darin, who is your pick here?
Tough race, really struggled. Respect First Resort, but again, going to be a very short price, first time over the synthetic. So, wanted to get creative. I tried calling card here for Mike Maker and Gerardo Corrales. The New York bred really stepped out first time over dirt, stretched out to 1 mile that day at Aqueduct. Ran a huge race that day, got a big figure, dominated. Came back, was an okay third behind the aforementioned Sandman in a tough 1 mile allowance at Oaklawn. They moved him up to the Lecomte on a sloppy racetrack and really did not do much running when racing wide and chasing from a mid-pack starting slot. So I'm looking for him, hopefully, to take this to the synthetic. I think this horse is well spotted. He's working very well in preparation for this. It is a little bit of a swing. I'm a fan of complexity. He gets good runners over the synthetic. Respect the maternal family as well. So I'm going to try calling card at a price, but not nearly as confident here as I am on Tistastic in the Rebel.
James?
I'm on number 7, Baby Max. I was surprised to see 6-1. I don't know if I'm going to get a price in that range, but first off, I loved his last effort. And, He broke his maiden at a mile and a 16th when stretching the 2 turns at Churchill. His first start at Turfway, he was too far back and too wide, getting beat ahead in second. This race here, he took a huge step forward. This horse that's rallying for second is Chunk of Gold, who just ran second in the Grade 2 Risen Star. And Baby Max, to me, is still like developing for Kelsey Danner. I think he's taken a step forward off that Leonidas. Anybody looking at his like female family knows that a mile is too short for his bloodlines on that damn side. He's already a winner at a mile and a 16th. He's going to improve at longer distances. I think he's got a big shot, Baby Max.
And I guess I'm going for the Kenny McPeak double here. I went with number 12, Maximum Promise, at 8-1. This is a maximum security colt who won at second, or he graduated to second asking at a mile at Ellis Park. He won by 14 lengths with an 87 Brisnet speed figure, then jumped up to Lecomte, and he encountered a sloppy track. He finished 5th by 2.5 lengths. I'm looking for a better showing on a fast track. He's dropping in class today and could improve second off the layoff. I know the outside post could be a little bit of concern, but I think he's got the speed. He showed it in his maiden win, has some speed, and he can potentially go out to the front. We saw an outside post win this weekend in the Risen Star, so maybe we'll see something like that in this race as well.
Yeah, and none of us picked First Resort. Once again, none of us are picking the favorite.
I think he looks tough, but yeah, I didn't want to go for the 2-1.
He definitely looks tough, but you know, his training was interrupted this winter. I know they blame the weather, but he just had a hard time, it seemingly to me. Now he does have 2 nice works in advance of this, but I'm thinking he could be a little bit, maybe just a little bit short in the comebacker.
Yeah, and I'm just not going to take, 7-5 or whatever he's going to be on a horse trying the synthetic for the first time. Not to say that he can't take to it, because he's run well on both dirt and turf, so I respect his versatility for sure. But in a field like this with so many questions and unknowns, why take 7-5, which is probably what he's going to be on anybody.
Well, it's going to be an exciting weekend. Again, TwinSpires will be on site at Turfway Park for Friday and Saturday racing for those Oaks and Derby preps. Again, head to KentuckyDerby.com for those tickets for all of Derby week. And we will be back next Thursday with more best bets and fades.
When it comes to horse racing, you can never have too much information. With TwinSpires, you can place your bets with confidence, whether you use handicapping insights like our Brisnet speed ratings, prime power and past performances, the guidance of our experts' top picks, or just choose a name that catches your eye. Yes! No matter how you pick your horse, bet with TwinSpires. And now you can race to victory with TwinSpires tournaments.